Argo, the 19th A-League men's competition. This could seal it! Wouldn't you know it? Unbelievable!
The celebrations, there they are.
Talk about a grandstand finish!
Well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The fairy tale is complete. The Central Coast Mariners, champions of Australia.
Nearly 6,000 days ago, Melbourne Victory was the first side to visit Wellington Phoenix for an A-League football match. Over 15 years on, it is another first tonight. Never before has this patch of grass played host to a top-of-the-table football clash. Victory are no strangers to the upper echelons of the ladder, four-time champions and historical high flyers. For the Phoenix, though, this is rarefied air. It's the standard bearers visiting the season surprise packets, the precocious pretenders hosting the perennial powerhouses. A top-of-the-table clash under the Friday night lights of Sky Stadium in New Zealand's capital as Wellington Phoenix welcome Melbourne Victory live here on Sky Sport. Fans in fine voice, a warm, dry, if slightly breezy Friday evening in the capital. Former Phoenix and all-whites goalkeeper Jacob Spoonley alongside in commentary. Phoenix coach Giancarlo Italiano says this is just another game. Does this feel like just another game?
No. That is for his team, that is not for us. This is a fixture for us to revel in, Tiny. Kia ora, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. What a pleasure it is to be here for this one. Ambition and resolve have defined both teams over the course of the season. The Phoenix are attempting to keep setting the pace, face a true rival. There is an ominous feeling about Popovic's side as they approach Sky Stadium. If the next last home match was anything to go by up against Western Sydney Wanderers, we can expect a tactical battle and hopefully late fireworks.
So many layers of intrigue around this one as the match officials lead the two teams onto the grass here at Sky Stadium, impeccably manicured as always. The Phoenix on right of screen there in their dark strip. The Melbourne Victory side in a lighter strip tonight. Alex Rufer, a goal scorer last time out, leads his side proudly onto Sky Stadium. And the fans have come out in good numbers tonight. That section of the seating you see there is closed off, so no fans there, but as we swing around up behind the players, plenty packed into the stands here in Wellington, decked out in scarves and replica shirts and all smiles, and a good little knot of Melbourne Victory supporters have made the trip as well. Looking forward to seeing them find their voice a bit later on this evening as well. Two changes from the 11 that started Sunday's 4-3 win over Perth Glory for Wellington. In come Lucas Kelly-Heald at left back and Ben Old in central midfield in place of Sam Sutton and Mohamed El Tay, who dropped down to the bench. Costa Barbarouses is on fire. 8 goals in his last 5 A-League men's matches. 8 of those players have started all 13 games this A-League men's season. Tony Popovic makes 4 changes from the side that started last weekend's 1-1 draw with the Central Coast Mariners. In come Adama Traore, Nishan Velupale, Rai Marchand and Jake Brimmer in place of Connor Chapman, Ryan Teague, Ben Falami and Fadia Monge, who hasn't travelled. Jason Guerrier across to his favourite right-back position, Adama Traore at left-back. All 6 outfield subs for Wellington are under 23, including Gabriel Sloan Rodriguez, who would become Wellington Phoenix's youngest ever player if he debuts. For Victory, Franco Lino could be in line for his first minutes since Christmas off the bench. There are the Melbourne Victory fans. Great to see a travelling knot of visiting supporters populating the northern end. That is the southern end, the yellow fever section of Sky Stadium. Wonderful to see some travelling fans backing their unbeaten team. Daniel Elder is our referee, overseeing his 86th A-League men's match, assisted by Sarah Jones and Isaac Travis. That is 13-year-old Patrick McEwen tossing the coin here all the way from Dunedin, where he plays for Grants Brays FC. His favourite Phoenix player is Bojidar Kraev. Lachlan Keevers is our 4th official. Chris Griffiths-Jones is in the VAR booth if needed. Having started just 1 match last season, Finn Sermon has played every minute of Wellington's 12 games this campaign, forming a solid central defensive partnership with English veteran Scott Wootton. Sermon leads Wellington in both clearances and blocks this A-League men's season. Former Socceroo Daniel Alzani has been reinvigorated by his move from Macarthur to Melbourne Victory, given the licence to run at opposition defenders and deliver crosses into the penalty area. He's created 28 chances this season, more than anybody else on the pitch here tonight. Giancarlo Italiano has rewarded consistency in his first campaign as Phoenix head coach, making just 10 changes to his starting 11 across the first dozen rounds of the season. He's also a fan of youth, giving more minutes to under-21 players this season than everyone other than Adelaide coach Carl Viet. And Victory boss Tony Popovich faced the Phoenix 5 times as a player for Sydney FC, winning just once. And in his first visit to Wellington, he was sent off for 2 yellow cards. As a coach, though, he's lost just 7 of 27 previous encounters with Wellington Phoenix. Costa Barbarouses in the hottest of hot form. If he were to score tonight, he would set a new club record for goals in 6 consecutive matches. Chris Economides continues to lead the line for Melbourne Victory in the absence at the Asian Cup of talisman Bruno Fornaroli. For the first time, first place second at Sky Stadium. For the 500th time, Melbourne Victory are underway in an A-League men's match. Wellington are one of their favourite opponents. They've emerged victorious from 24 of the previous 47 meetings of the competition's current sides. Victory only have a better winning record against Macarthur. But Giancarlo Italiano's Phoenix are made of pretty stern stuff these days, especially at home. They've won 4 of their 5 games on home soil this season. If this match does have a winner, they'll jump 3 points ahead of the other at the top. And for the meantime, at least 6 points clear of the chasing pack, led by the Western Sydney Wanderers. Speaking of who, Jacob Spoonley, they were the last opponent for Wellington here at Sky Stadium. We had a pretty cagey encounter just before Christmas. Are you expecting more of the same tonight?
Absolutely. 2 sides that will be targeting 3 points here this evening, but at the same time, they will not want to take a backward step, and they'll be very mindful about the threat that the opponent poses tonight.
Great to see Jake Brimmer back in the starting side for Melbourne Victory. All played through from Geria aim for Economides. Traore won't be able to haul that one in. Jake Brimmer, what a player he's been. 2021-22 Johnny Warren medalist. The first Melbourne Victory winner of that since Marco Rojas in 2012-13. Great to see Jake Brimmer back in the side. Paired in midfield today with Roy Marchand. Special welcome to Melbourne Victory fans tuned in from across the Tasman, especially those gathered at the official away game venue, the local brewing company in Clifton Hill, lovely part of Melbourne. Hope you're enjoying yourselves and will continue to enjoy the coverage of your unbeaten side against top of the table for the meantime anyway, Wellington Phoenix. Daniel Alzani getting involved nice and early. I think that's going to be a common theme as Daniel Alzani looks to put pressure perhaps on Lucas Kelly-Heald down Victory's right.
It was a good chance for Lucas Kelly-Heald to get a sight of Alzani early, and Anna Green made an excellent point in our build-up, wondering if Nico Pennington would be deployed down this left-hand side to provide the youngster with some additional cover as they look to nullify the threat of a very informed right winger for the Melbourne Victory. But it looks like Ben Old has been used down the Phoenix's defensive left, and he swarmed in to help Kelly-Heald there.
Here's Mashash, his first opportunity to set something up in an attacking sense. Scott Wooten in the road behind for the first corner of the contest.
And as they have done throughout the course of this season, the Wellington Phoenix looking to diminish the quality of the opportunity. You can see there, although Marchash had space, the Phoenix had numbers marshalling that 6-yard box well early in this one.
So first opportunity from a set piece for Melbourne Victory. 86 corners this season. They've scored from just one of them. Can they double their money here early at Sky Stadium? It's bouncing around in the 6-yard area. Wellington just struggling to get it clear. Costa Barbarouses puts that big right boot on it and clears it up over halfway. So 87 corners now for Melbourne Victory, just the 1 goal. Not that Wellington could talk. They don't have any goals from corners this season.
Ben Old's fitness tested there, looking to charge down and nullify Guerrier and then put pressure on Izzo. Perhaps a statement of intent from the Wellington Phoenix youngster there. He wants to get in and amongst this game.
Victory quite happy to pass out from the back. De Silva and Guerrier together. Now Brimmer stretches his legs to Mishash. Good cohesive play from Melbourne Victory. Velupile, he's setting up for a shot. Leaves it for Traore, who pokes it into the side netting. Well, Adama Traore doesn't get a lot of goals. She's 4 in 216 A-League men's games, but he was well advanced there.
We've already touched on the right-hand side for Melbourne Victory, but they are a dual-threat team. Pacey, direct wingers on either side, and Velupile there draws the defender, creates the space for Traore, but is the wrong side of Alex Paulson's post.
So Victory are out of the blocks nice and quickly here in Wellington. Azani looks up, sees Kelly healed. Mishash. What an addition to the A-League men's, the Frenchman Mishash has been. By Marchand. Now Velupile. Mishash has drifted out towards the left. Patient from Victory. Velupile and Finn Sermon, rather Nicholas Pennington flying in there, and you could hear the yell of anguish from Nicholas Pennington as his left knee took the brunt of that impact.
I think for me, as we look at the replay of this one, is Nico Pennington's committed to the challenge and Marchash simply tries to step across him. It's more Nico Pennington crashing into the Melbourne Victory number 8 that causes the damage there.
49th game in Phoenix colours tonight for Nico Pennington, so a milestone match perhaps next week for the tenacious Phoenix midfielder. Here's Alex Paulson. Captured a lot of headlines so far this season. Highest save percentage in the competition. Again, Victory easily diffuse the latest would-be attack from Wellington. Brimmer's looking busy. Now Azan.
With the Phoenix mindful of the threats of Velupile, Marchash, and even Azani, it might be Jake Brimmer that brings this game to life for Melbourne Victory.
Mishash gets the ball in, it's off the toe there of Sermon, and thankfully for Wellington, it looped up in the air into the arms of Paulson. Just the way that Zinedine Mishash is popping up all over the place. He's out on the left, he's driving into the inside forward position. He can be just as effective at centre forward, almost like a false nine. He's a handful.
He is, and I think the answer for the Phoenix is more communication from Finn Sermon. Marchash is starting as we expected him to in that central role where he's being monitored by Alex Rufer, but then he's drifting into this left-hand channel, and as he does so, Sermon needs to tell Payne where he is.
Ramashan. Mishash again, he's over on the right-hand side this time. Arzani. And Jason Guerrier not able to haul that one in. 9th season at Melbourne Victory for Jason Guerrier. 173rd A-League men's match tonight for the former Socceroo. Wellington just having a bit of trouble stringing together the passing movements which have been their trademark this season. Tim Payne set upon, but finds his captain Rufer. Now ball. Ben Old can't collect. Here he goes down though, and Ben Old takes advantage and sets off with a couple of players ahead, and David Ball inside. Ball shoots from distance. Paul Izzo wasn't sure. He went down to his left, and David Ball yet to score this A-League men's season. Sensed a first goal of the campaign then.
With some hesitancy and then a slip, and Ben Odd's there to pounce. Gets the ball to David Ball, and that one flashes across Paul Izzo's goal. Cuts across it when he's looking to curl. Would have liked to have asked more of a question of the Melbourne Victory goalkeeper there, I'm sure.
Became a Phoenix Centurion this year. David Ball, not a prolific goal scorer by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of the work he does is deeply appreciated by his teammates. Azani with a little bit of space to work in now, and is fouled. A set-piece situation coming the way of Melbourne victory. He's just such a tricky customer, Daniel Azani. 6th game against Wellington, has never scored against the Phoenix. Suffered a bout of cramp last weekend, which forced him off. But one of the A-League men's most exciting talents, and he's lining up this set-piece situation.
Well, he sparkled last week against the Mariners.
Lifts it into the penalty area, too big for anybody, and Paulson and the Phoenix rear guard able to watch it sail harmlessly past.
Being visible in the opening stage of this one, Daniel Azani, exactly what Popovic will be looking for. Very clear in terms of the way in which he wants to set up his teams. Organised, understand their roles, and then have some game breakers to bring to bear big physical direct threats.
Victory on a 12-game unbeaten run at present. Their record is 16, achieved in the 2021-22 season. Ben Old, that trademark running style of his. I want to look to recycle.
It's actually quite interesting. There's a wrinkle in the way the Wellington Phoenix is setting up today, and I think it's apparent when they're on the ball here. What we're seeing is the move to more of a back three. Lucas Kelly-Hield is pinching inside. He's staying alongside Scott Wootton and Finn Sermon, and then Ben Old or David Ball is rotating down to provide that width. Tim Payne taking an advanced position as we typically see from him. I think what they're looking to do is try and circumnavigate this well-organised Victory defence and hit them wide where there's more space, because there certainly, typically rather, is not space in between the defensive units for Popovic's men.
Well, 10.5 minutes gone here, and we've hardly called Costa Barbarouses at all. He's, as mentioned numerous times in the pre-game, been the main man as far as goals are concerned for Wellington this season. 8 in his last 5. Now just 2 short of former teammate Archie Thompson in the overall list. 4 behind another former teammate Shane Smeltz. It's been all about Costa in the last month for Wellington, that he's struggled to get on the ball much at all early in this one. He'll put a bit of pressure on Traore here, but safely back to his own.
And Adama Traore didn't recognise the threat at all. He played that ball back to Paul Izzo and then switched off. Izzo wanted him to peel away. It would have been an easy ball in, because Costa Barbarouses wasn't keen to move from that central position where he's looking to press. And that was the first time Melbourne Victory stuttered as they looked to play out.
You could see they're depressed as well from Wellington. They employed that last weekend against Perth Glory. And Giancarlo Italiano said during the weekend pre-game that you may see that again, and we have. Here's Tim Payne running into a bit of a cul-de-sac. Can't wrap his foot around it, but gets applause from Božidar Krajev for the intent. Reigning goals for Tim Payne this season. None in his first 92 games. 2 in his last 10. Well, it was not a hailstorm necessarily, but certainly it's not a light shower.
It's not Costa Barbarouses numbers by any means, but for a right back, it is more than a decent contribution. There's a couple of assists to his name as well. One very important one last week off the back of some great work by Alex Rufer to find Costa Barbarouses, and what ultimately separated Perth Glory from the Wellington Phoenix.
De Silva goes long looking for Azani, who has kept that in. Daniel Azani dancing along the touchline, pulls it back. Economides goes down. Well, a coming together between David Ball and Chris Economides. Economides doesn't complain, and now Wellington have a free kick. Daniel Azani keeping the ball in when it looked as though that wasn't going to be the case, and then dancing along the touchline.
Well, there's magic in those feet, we know that. Lucas Kelly-Hield has the task of trying to contain him, didn't on that occasion. And as we've seen from the Wellington Phoenix previously, or recently, there is a vulnerability down that left-hand side. Pressure relieved with that free kick.
Good crowd in attendance for Friday night football. The call went out during the week, and it's easily the biggest crowd of the season. We'll get the official number a bit later on, but yeah, they've certainly come out in good numbers here on a balmy Wellington evening tonight. Here's Barbarouses. The crowd find their voice as he gets the ball at his feet. Pennington towards Old on the far side. He helps it back in, but the ball's gone out. Flag up on this near side from Isaac Travis.
That was a lovely ball from Nico Pennington, an awkward one for him to handle. Managed to find Ben Old, who, unfortunately for the Wellington Phoenix, simply couldn't sort his feet out. The Phoenix haven't seen much of the ball early, but they have sprung forward quickly, as we've come to expect from them so far this season. And here, Ben Old trying to get that one under control, but just beaten by the touchline.
Just a bit too much slice on it from Nico Pennington. Good strength from Finn Sermon. Former football Fern Anna Green is sideline for us. Plenty of chatter down there, no doubt, between the players and respective coaches. Anna, what are you sensing sideline in the first 15 minutes of this one?
Yeah, absolutely. You've had the coaches that are both up in their technical areas. I think they've both been encouraging the press, and the fourth official has had a few things to answer for. He's had some hard questions from Popovic so far.
Feeling not just on the field, in the technical areas as well. Both coaches will look forward to this one. This would have been a fixture that, although would have caused them anxiety about how to contain the opponents, it's exactly the sort of challenge Italiano and Popovic will look for in the A-League.
Yeah, anxiety becomes opportunity, doesn't it? Giancarlo Italiano said in his pre-game media yesterday he enjoys the cut and thrust of the tactical battle in-game. He likes to make little changes to see how his opposition coach might respond to that. Tony Popovic has been around for an awfully long time. He would have seen it all pretty much in his time as an A-League men's coach, but Giancarlo Italiano has proven himself early in his career to be a formidable adversary. Here is Ben Old trying to get to the byline past Geria, who gets a toe to it. Corner coming the way of Wellington.
Well, there's the first jab thrown from the Wellington Phoenix. Ben Old has broken through the midfield. This time finds himself in the final third, wants to get beyond Geria, but the experienced defender picks his moment superbly, concedes the corner, that nullifies the dangerous number 8.
None of Wellington's goals this season have come from set pieces. Not corners, not free kicks, not from the penalty spot. 44 corners without a goal. Could today be the day as Pennington delivers to the far post. Sermon is there, but it hit to backtrack and couldn't get the purchase on it. Barbarouses is urged to shoot by the sizable crowd, and then commits a foul as he tries to retain possession of the football. So another unsuccessful set-piece situation for Wellington.
Well, the concept was sound, looking to get runners in that front post and then release Finn Sermon to the back stick. You see it here, Nico Pennington standing this one up, and you see there Finn Sermon all by himself, benefiting from space created by the blockers in front of him, and then Costa Barbarouses couldn't get the ball back in, where there were numbers for the Wellington Phoenix.
Could he have perhaps started a bit deeper there, Finn Sermon, and attacked that ball rather than going backwards? I guess you're relying largely on the delivery, but I feel like coming forward to head that powerfully back to where it came from might have been more effective.
I agree with you, Piney. The arc of the run there was rather shallow, and he didn't give himself much of a margin to then get onto the front foot.
Ball breaks to Arzani rather fortuitously. He won't care. Here is Daniel Arzani into the penalty area, tracked all the way by Kelly Hield and Rufer. Last touch was off Alex Rufer. Another corner coming the way of the visitors.
Those have come to expect. Alex Rufer has picked up the rhythm of the game and has seen the threat. Gets across nice and early to provide Lucas Kelly Hield with some cover. And this time it's the Wellington Phoenix being forced to time their tackle, and Rufer concedes the corner,
which Arzani takes towards the near post, not cleared again at the first time of asking. Božidar Krojev, though, does complete the job. A couple of times corners have bounced dangerously in the 6-yard area for Wellington. And what does referee Daniel Elder want done now? He's said maybe the throw-in was taken from the wrong place.
From what I can see, the second attempt is going to be taken from exactly where the first attempt was, and that's what Tony Popovich is saying. It's not of consequence, really, so why are we stopping the match? Melbourne Victory to that back three so they can then spring forward. They want to entice to create this kind of space.
Now here's Tim Payne sprinting forward. Can he find a third goal this season? Well, he's put enough pressure on Paul Izzo for it to be sliced out for a throw, but Tim Payne became a centre forward all of a sudden.
Well, the Victory are doing well in the midfield, putting pressure on the Wellington Phoenix as we see here, but once the Phoenix get beyond that first wall, the back is looking rather scruffy. That's now the second or third time we've seen Izzo skew one out for a throw on Piney.
So Victory started brightly in this one and are still strong participants in the game. Wellington have grown into it, though, getting their trademark passing game going. They pass it close to 86% this season, and another foul comes the way of the home side.
Well, the Phoenix have two players on the deck, and a couple of the grumbles out of the camp recently have been about the lack of yellow cards, particularly early on. They feel like they are being targeted, in particular dangerous players like Costa Barbarouses. Here we see the first foul. Tim Payne clattered into the back of, and then Velupale repeats the order for Costa Barbarouses. Don't think there'll be much to grizzle about there from the Wellington Phoenix, but they will note it with Daniel Elder.
Yep, just fouls and fouls only. Free kicks given. Yellow card stays in Daniel Elder's pocket for the meantime. Slightly misplaced by Paulson. Economides has come deep to get that one. Shoved in the back by Wharton. Daniel Elder happy for play to go on. Raimarchand. Rufa gets a foot in. And now Barbarouses sets off towards the Yellow Fever at the southern end. Sets up Ben Old. Ben Old fakes to shoot. He sold a big dummy to Jason Geary, but couldn't collect the ball on the other side. Still in for Wellington. David Ball brings it away. Pennington. He's urged to shoot. Couldn't quite get the ball under control, and it's close to fizzling out. Now Old into the area. Crave as he brought down Tim Payne.
Well, here's a question for Daniel Elder. Crave was the right side of the defender. I think that's Adama Traore on the back post, and the fans are asking the question of VAR. Was there contact on Crave that diminished the quality of opportunity? And boy, was it a good one. Ben Old finds the back stick and Crave sliding in. He's saying that Adama Traore's pulled him back. There is no way Adama Traore is getting anywhere near the ball in that circumstance. Daniel Elder has his arm up. VAR is checking this one.
Božidar Krajev, of course, is in no doubt that he was impeded. Did Adama Traore cross the line from legal to illegal in terms of the challenge?
As we wait, though, the Wellington Phoenix put together a promising portfolio of passages of play. Ben Old, David Ball, Nico Pennington was just the individual calibration. They got the ball stuck underneath their feet, but they did put pressure on Melbourne Victory, which has resulted in this review.
Chris Griffiths-Jones is the man in the VAR booth. He's having a look at this, and he's now communicating his decision to Daniel Elder. Nothing more to see. So perhaps a sigh of relief for Adama Traore. Wellington will be encouraged by the move that led to the opportunity for Božidar Krajev.
Well, we haven't seen the angle, and our Sky Sports cameras haven't given us a replay of that's shown definitively the amount of contact that there was between Adama Traore and Božidar Krajev, but for mine, it was more than a suggestion of a shirt pull.
So Wellington remain without a penalty into round 13 of this season. Kelly Heald looking to shift play. Just a little bit of trouble for Tim Payne to get out of, and he doesn't quite manage it. Valupale. Good solid tackle by the skipper.
Here we go. And we see here the Wellington Phoenix in and amongst the Melbourne Victory back line, and it's very, very awkward from Adama Traore. He's through the back of Bojidar Krayev there, Piney.
Well, I guess in
I appreciate I've got the
situations-
wrong accent, but for mine, that's a penalty.
I guess in situations like that, you ask yourself this question. If Daniel Elder had given a penalty, would Chris Griffiths-Jones have chalked it off? And the answer, we'll never know, but it was a coming together of players. 50-50 for mine, actually, Jacob, and we go on at 0-0. Daniel Arzani's just lifted that one across the face of an open goal. None of his teammates banked on him being able to deliver.
Well, Zani's made us forget all about that penalty shout by that wonderful piece of individual play again, aided by a deflection, but it silenced the Wellington Phoenix crowd. Everyone heard that one come back off the woodwork.
Rufer looks up and sees Ben Old off on a run down the left-hand side. Looks like a fresh haircut for Ben Old in preparation for Friday night football. Rufer drives forward. Good run by Alex Rufer. Who can he find? Only the feet of Jason Geria. First 25 minutes of the game have been fast-paced. Round 13 in the Isuzu Ute A-League Men's last night. MacArthur 3-1 winners at Suncorp Stadium over Brisbane Roar. Sydney FC, Newcastle to follow at Allianz Stadium later on tonight.
Anna, just as we see this one ebb rather, what was the reaction pitch side from Italiano and his staff about the review and the phase of play and the challenge by Adama Traore?
Yeah, I think it was as would be expected. We had not the head coach, not just the goalkeeping coach, but 3 Phoenix staff up there asking some hard questions of the 4th official, and you would have enjoyed seeing Popovic slowly sit down, but watching the replay, I think there's probably nothing in there, and obviously VAR have stepped in, so not too much to complain about from Italiano.
Never sure why they surround the 4th official in situations like this. He hasn't got any power at all, has he? So Lachlan Keevers probably just has to get the earache from the disgruntled coaches.
Proximity is the answer.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Another corner for Melbourne Victory, again to be taken by Daniel Arzani. Change of approach this time, it's a short one. Arzani. Now he lifts it towards the far post where De Silva is. He nods it back and then through a crowd of bodies, Miranda tried to make hay. That one has been kept in cleverly by Jason Geria. Arzani very tight, but it doesn't normally matter for him. Took 3 Phoenix players to succumb him that time. And that's given away to Mashash. Danger here for Wellington. Mashash in the area. Zinedine Mashash. Eventually it finds its way behind. Scott Wootton and Nicholas Pennington involved, and Zinedine Mashash sensed that he could seize upon a Wellington error there.
Well, off the back of another piece of wonderful individual play by Daniel Arzani, the Phoenix get themselves into all sorts of trouble, and David Ball can count himself very lucky that Mashash maintains his feet and tries to hustle and bustle that one into the Wellington Phoenix's near post.
Now the corner coming, and Paulson on the line this time. Not a lot of power in the header, but it was on target. Alex Paulson having to make the save. We'll chalk up another one for him. Plenty of corners for Melbourne Victory early in this one, or in the first half hour anyway. Still goalless in this top of the table clash. Giancarlo Italiano was adamant during the week that this was just another game. His team are singing from the same song sheet. Just another opportunity for us to get 3 points, they say.
It's a good piece of internal comms, that, from Italiano. I think the marketing team at the Wellington Phoenix had different ideas. That's resulted in A large crowd here at Sky Stadium today. A great way to kick off the weekend of football in the A-League men's.
Valupale, clever, gets away from Payne. Can he keep it in? He can, but too much on the cross though, and Ben Old, he can't control it. Here's Brimmer on the edge. He goes down, and free kick coming in a dangerous position for Melbourne Victory.
Costa Barbarouses back defending on his 18-yard box. And a clumsy piece of defending gives away a free kick to Melbourne Victory in a dangerous position. It actually starts with Ben Old. As we've seen from time to time by this Wellington Phoenix side tonight, the first touch isn't there at the moment, and that puts themselves under a lot of pressure. The self-infliction. They lose the ball in the final third, or as they've done here, they put themselves under immense pressure.
So who likes the look of this one? Jake Brimmer does. He won the free kick. He probably feels as though he's got first place in the queue. No goals this season so far for Jake Brimmer, but this is in a very good position for him. He is terrific in dead ball situations.
There's enough space to get this one up and over the wall if Brimmer goes that side.
Which he does. Just a bit high from Jake Brimmer. 15 goals in 140 games. A few of those in spectacular free kick fashion. Unable to find the top corner that time.
As we see a Victorian salute there by the travelling fans. Jake Brimmer, a wonderful technician from the dead ball. You could see the idea. He wanted just to lift it up and over and ask a question of Alex Paulson. Didn't quite get the flight of the ball right there.
You're wondering about the red seats here at Sky Stadium. In shot now, that is the family section for the Wellington Phoenix. Good to see it well populated tonight. Plenty of mums, dads and kids in attendance. Here's Economides. Pulled back by Valupale. Behind for another corner, this time David Ball doing the defending.
That's wonderful movement. You can see the width provided by the fullbacks. So runs from in to out in the midfield, and that time Valupale finds a space, looks for a cutback. And here we go. As we restart, Jake Brimmer had space on the edge of the box there. The Wellington Phoenix caught asleep.
Here's Brimmer. Economides. Jake Brimmer again. Narrow on the cross. Alex Paulson gratefully receives it. "13 first half goals for Melbourne Victory so far this season, just the 8 in the first half for Wellington.
You see the idea from Popovic's side here. Allow the Phoenix to circulate across the back, and then once that ball goes into a midfielder, be it Pennington, Rufer or even Old, they're then pouncing. And the Phoenix are sloppy at the moment. They're not circulating the ball with the precision required to get through or around this very disciplined Melbourne Victory defensive unit.
Roderick Miranda giving up a free kick there, the Portuguese defender, captain of his club. Kelly Hill goes long towards Cryer, gets away from him though, and De Silva's going to be able to find Isuzu. Damien De Silva, the French defender, clears it up into the stands. Scored Melbourne Victory's winner here in the 2-1 win in around 22 last season. Earlier this season, though, scored an own goal to give Wellington Phoenix a 1-1 draw in that famous game, during which they didn't have a single shot on goal themselves.
Yeah, a lot of that was made by our local media. That was more when the Wellington Phoenix were tentative potentially. We didn't know quite what this Italiano side would look like. In retrospect, although they didn't get a shot on target, they did create some wonderful opportunities. And they were perhaps a centimetre or two away from the ball falling to a striker in a promising area. But you're never, ever going to shrug at a point coming out of Amy Park.
Really robust challenge there from Adama Traore. He believes he got the ball. Tim Payne on the receiving end. Speaking of goals, Oscar Zavada rejoined his teammates this week for training on the grass. Still a couple of weeks away from being considered for a return to the side, Oscar Zavada. Haven't seen him since the loss to the Newcastle Jets here in Wellington in early December.
Tim Payne back on his feet. Although he wouldn't have appreciated that tackle, I'm sure he's looking forward to not only going toe-to-toe with Physicality, but trying to get at Adama Traore. He's turned himself into a true threat down the Wellington Phoenix's right-hand side. The physicality that we saw early on in his career, utilised in midfield, has now been brought to bear as he slingshots down Italiano's right.
A key part of the national coach's plans as well. Tim Payne, 34 caps for his country. Sermon slides it in, and again it's a coming together, and this time it is going to be a yellow card coming the way of Adama Traore. I actually thought that was a 50-50. I'm not quite sure about the free kick or the yellow card here, but Daniel Elder's pointed one the way of Adama Traore.
I tend to share your view of that one, Jason Pine. I think Adama Traore's got every reason to wag the finger. I thought that was a good challenge, but we'll see more on the replay here. Ball in from Sermon, Crave coming across. And it even looks from that angle that Traore gets the first touch on the ball. But I think the Wellington Phoenix have done a good job from their point of view of seeding in the mind of Daniel Elder that there's been some late challenges in this first 35 minutes.
Yeah, Tony Popovic not best pleased with the yellow card handed out to Adama Traore there. Rashid Kraev, meantime, is getting some treatment. It just felt like a robust challenge. Two players coming together with the ball also involved, and sometimes the impact on body parts like the ankle happen.
That's exactly what you'd expect from a 1v2 fixture. There is not going to be much time or space in the midfield, but there will be commitment, and it will be in spades, and that's what we saw from Adama Traore. Still not convinced it's a yellow card. Popovic, in addition to his players, made that point to Daniel Elder. And here we see it slower now, frame by frame. Well, the foot is lifted from Adama Traore. And I suspect that's the factor that has persuaded Daniel Elder to go to his book, as Crave is still down on the ground.
Crave back on his feet. Just a second yellow card of the season for Adama Traore, although the last time he got one, he got a second one in the same game, which turned it into a red. He's always been a robust defender, doesn't mind a challenge, and I think we'll probably have to disagree with Daniel Elder's assessment. Tony Popovic certainly does. Daniel Arzani. Tackled by Rufa. Mashash tries to free up Jason Geria. Not quite coming together down the right-hand side for Melbourne Victory just at the moment.
No, it's not, and there was a fluid piece of play as they looked to almost counter-press on the Wellington Phoenix there. There definitely was width down that right-hand side to exploit, but yet again, Ben Old failed to control a diagonal pass from Finn Sermon, and that allowed Geria to pounce and propel the Melbourne Victory forward.
Paul Izzo will have fond memories of the last time he was here, the Melbourne Victory goalkeeper. A couple of outstanding saves to earn victory, all 3 points in the aforementioned game, during which Daniel De Silva scored the winning goal. But Paul Izzo going down to his left-hand side twice in quick succession at that end to helped Victory secure all 3 points that night. Hasn't had a heck of a lot to do in terms of saves to make in this game. Kelly Heald and Azani stride for stride. Azani's got the better of Kelly Heald. He's in the area, across the 6-yard box, and missed by Nishan Valupale from a couple of yards out. Daniel Azani did everything right. How did Valupale not apply the finish?
I do not know how this is not in the back of the net. Daniel Azani's pace this time takes him around Lucas Kelly Heald. Does wonderful poise in the 6-yard box. And Marchach is at the near post, goes beyond him and then goes through Valupale. Head and hand stuff from Melbourne Victory there. They should be one up.
They certainly should be. Daniel Azani, what a run. Put one on a plate for Nishan Valupale, who looked for all the world as though he would score his 3rd goal of the season and put his side into a 1-0 lead. But somehow wasn't able to apply a finish or get any touch at all. Any touch probably would have done, Jacob.
It's almost as if he ran beyond it there, Valupale.
Ball, clever pass for Barbarouses, who's in the area. Costa Barbarouses straight at his own. Had a couple of options in the penalty area, elected to shoot himself, Costa. Soft hands from Paul Izzo, keeping it out.
It was good play from David Ball to release Costa Barbarouses.
Here's Azani again. Danger for Wellington yet again. Suma gets it away. Valupale this time! Nishan Valupale couldn't apply the finish from the yard a minute or so ago, but when another opportunity presented itself, he drilled it beyond a couple of defenders and Phoenix goalkeeper Alex Paulson. And Nishan Valupale, with a 3rd goal of this A-League men's season, has the Victory fans singing and his side into a 1-0 lead.
Well, they're worth the lead, Jason Pine. This time, the Wellington Phoenix not able to keep Melbourne Victory at arm's length. Again, it comes through. Azani falls to Valupale. And the Wellington Phoenix will be asking the question around whether or not Economides blocks Alex Paulson, but I think the guilty party here is going to be Lucas Kelly Heald, who's on that back post. The question, though, is that him arriving with Economides already there, or does he put Economides onside? The other point, though, is that Alex Paulson is off his line. So it comes down to where Economides is as well. If he's both sides of Alex Paulson, you need 2 defenders in between the attacker and the goal. So a bit of a tricky one for VAR to navigate here. This will be a great angle. Good ball in for Azani, tantalising stuff. Economides goes to ground, finds himself next to Alex Paulson. And he has both Alex Paulson and Lucas Kelly Heald as he retreats to provide the Wellington Phoenix a cover behind Chris Economides. So this one will stand.
Absolutely, and rightly so. Kelly Heald and Alex Paulson both behind Chris Economides. He can do whatever he likes in that situation. He's not in an offside position. This goal is going to stand for Nishan Valupale.
Reward for Melbourne Victory. They've been worthy of it. Well, we're going to go check. As Daniel Alder wanders across to the VAR screen. I don't think anyone is going to begrudge the Melbourne Victory of being 1-0 up away from home against the Wellington Phoenix. Unfortunate in that Nishan Valupale couldn't turn the ball in only moments ago.
Well, it's whether Lucas Kelly Heald has got back beyond Chris Economides there, and whether Economides with his left foot down there is behind. That's not Pennington.
Oh, wow.
We need to see Lucas Kelly Heald right at the bottom of the left-hand side. You can see his boot. Is Economides' boot behind Kelly Heald's is probably the question.
I think it's actually is Economides' boot behind Alex Paulson, because if it is, then as it's a part of the body that can score a goal, it means that he's behind what would normally be considered the last defender, but because Lucas Kelly Heald is on the line, Alex Paulson becomes that last defender.
Let's see what they have come up with here. It is offside.
Well, the Wellington Phoenix survive again. Physicality so unfortunate not to benefit from the wonderful work of Daniel Arzani moments ago. This time, put the ball on the back of the net, but because of Chris Economides, and I believe it's a size 12s, because that's going to be the difference there, Jason Pine. Centimetres in that one, and only centimetres offside by the Melbourne Victory striker.
Well, it's a funny old position for Economides to be in as well, kneeling with that boot behind him. As you say, Lucas Kelly-Heald probably comes out of the equation. It's whether Economides' boot is further advanced than Alex Paulson's last body part, and the answer, according to Chris Griffiths-Jones and Daniel Elder, in consultation with one another, is yes, that boot was too far advanced, and Nishan Velupale's goal is chalked off. Phoenix looking to take advantage. Here's Ben Old. It's not going to really come down for him. Ball. Aiming for Barbarouses. Traore with the defensive header.
Old rather hung back there. I think a more decisive run into the 18-yard box, and he would have been able to meet that cross from Barbarouses on the full.
Well, the long deliberation is going to give us 5 minutes minimum of added time at the end of this first half. Daniel Elder's in the way of Tim Payne, who says, "You're the last thing I need, ref."
I feel sorry for Daniel Elder there. He did everything he possibly could to stay still and not get in the way of the ball. But unfortunately, found himself bang smack in the middle of proceedings. And has to concede a Wellington Phoenix restart.
Confirmation of the extra 5 minutes minimum from fourth official Lachlan Keevers. Crowd start to think about their half-time refreshment. Paul Izzo has certainly been the less busy of the two goalkeepers. Miranda driving forward to get a return pass from Economides, and then Barbarouses takes it away. And Miranda's out of position here, but there are plenty of white shirts back for Melbourne Victory.
Phoenix have been guilty of holding on to the ball a little bit too long, particularly Olden Barbarouses that time. And that plays into the hands of the poised Melbourne Victory defenders. A lot of experience there. Just wait and wait for the right moment to pinch the ball.
Here's Traore. Wraps his boot around it. Sermon with a solid header away. Raimar Shahan is there. Mashash sizing up his options. Slides one into the penalty area for Economides. Washington Krayev takes it away and sets Ben Old away. David Ball is the furthest advanced with him. Barbarouses there as well. That's a foul on Ben Old from Daniel Arzani.
Daniel Arzani suggesting that Ben Old might have gone down gently there. The Wellington Phoenix fans taking the polar opposite view. Ben Old that time had made his way forward and was waiting for the reinforcements. Does give the Wellington Phoenix a set-piece opportunity. Victory maintaining the high line, trying to give Paul Izzo enough time and space to come for the ball that will be delivered from Tim Payne.
Pretty high line from Melbourne Victory as Payne delivers into the penalty area, away by Geria. Well defended by Melbourne Victory, provided they can complete the job, which they haven't been able to do in the meantime. That's a very good tackle. So plenty of action and time added on at the end of this first half.
Well, we don't have a goal to show for it in this first 45, but there have been big moments. A real tactical battle as Tony Popovic adds to his notes. And as the Wellington Phoenix experienced before Christmas, this is one where they're going to have to stay in the arm wrestle against a very experienced side, a very confident team.
Tim Payne's gone in there, and immediately Tony Popovic was up in arms. It is a yellow card for Tim Payne.
Well, Tim Payne, that touch gets away from him, and that leads to him having to slide in on Marchash. Definitely worth the yellow card. Do wonder if VAR is going to have a look at this one because of the raised foot.
Marchash has stayed down. Tim Payne did come over to inquire as to his health. It's a second yellow card of the season for Tim Payne at this point. VAR is able to look at yellow cards and potentially upgrade them to reds. From memory, that happened to Tim Payne last year in Palmerston North. He was shown a yellow card which got upgraded to a red when he was the last man in a denying of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity situation. It's going to elongate the first half even further.
Can appreciate that players will be anxious as they wait for the review to be completed. Tim Payne, this time the player in question. It's exemplematic of the Wellington Phoenix, just poor touches. They're not getting the time and space that they typically would against A-League opponents. Victory, organised, they're putting themselves in position, and then when the opportunity comes, they are pouncing, and they have turned over the ball with regularity in the Wellington Phoenix midfield.
Now Daniel Elder is going to come across and have a look at this one. This is a possible upgrade of a yellow card to a red card for Tim Payne.
Now the studs are up from Tim Payne, and that more than justifies the yellow card. But as I understand it, because the contact is made low down on the foot, well, from that angle it looks a bit higher up the shin, doesn't it? So a question for Daniel Elder. But players are able to show some of the studs, provided that contact remains close to the ground. And if that is the case, then it should remain a yellow card. But the question here is, it seems to be higher. It seems to be up the shin from Tim Payne, which suggests an out-of-control nature. It's not simply reckless.
A nervous wait for Tim Payne. Let's find out what the adjudication is. I think Tim Payne's going to see red here. Yellow card is chalked off, and red card shown to Tim Payne. There's very little in the way of complaint from the Wellington Phoenix players, and in the shadows of half-time, the Phoenix go down to 10 as Tim Payne is sent off.
And that's all about the poor touch. Put Tim Payne in a situation where he had to lunge, and at that point, contact was made above the foot. And according to the rule book, current interpretation, that has to be a red card. Now Tim Payne makes the long walk right on the verge of half-time towards an early shower. No complaints from the Wellington Phoenix, number 6.
First red card of the season for a Wellington Phoenix player. They're going to have to play the entire second period here with a numerical disadvantage. Nicholas Pennington's gone across to right back for the meantime. Whether that is what we see in the second half remains to be seen, but Melbourne Victory, who have been the better side in the first half by most measures anyway, will really now believe they've got an excellent opportunity to take away all 3 points from Wellington now.
Well, this absolutely changes the dynamic of the match, where Melbourne Victory were starting to overrun the Wellington Phoenix in that midfield. They will now have another man. There will be more space for them to utilise. The question then becomes, how does Italiano respond? I think the likely answer is 2 banks of 4.
Whistle goes for half-time, and it's a rather subdued Sky Stadium crowd that greets that whistle. Great to see that Zinedine Mashash is okay to continue after the challenge. Scott Wooten has a discussion with Daniel Elder, but really, if he sees the replay, there can probably be very few complaints. Nishan Velupillay had the ball in the back of the net, but that was chalked off by VAR and offside. It's been an action-packed first half in terms of incidents, but no goals to speak of. Half-time here in Wellington. The Phoenix 0, Melbourne Victory 0.
No, my Hawkey, my welcome into Sky Sports coverage of the A-League men's on a Friday night. It's a top-of-the-table clash between the Wellington Phoenix and Melbourne Victory. The scoreline would show no goals, but Anna Green alongside. This is a match full of incident, and the VAR has been extremely busy in the first 45 minutes of football.
Yeah, look, this has had everything that you would expect of a top-of-the-table clash, and this one, to end out the first half, has been probably no complaints from me. I think it's a red card. I think Tim Payne will be feeling hard done by, but looking at that in slow motion upon review, I think your studs are high. It looks a bit reckless, so that's a red card for my money.
Yeah, and you can't be too careful in present age because there are cameras everywhere and they pick up everything, and if you get those studs up and you've got to go, it's got to be overturned. So the VAR gets a tick for that one. What about the no goal for Melbourne Victory? A little bit before that, they think they've got the first goal of the game, but they don't. Explain this one to us, because they sort of flip-flopped in commentary a couple of times. Was he offside, was he not? Foot behind Paulson or not when the ball was struck, Anna Green?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the foot is behind Paulson, so do I like that rule as offside, the fact that it can be decided by a toe? No, I don't, but that's the way the rules are designed. That's what VAR's for, and Melbourne Victory were feeling hard done by, but that's the rules of the game. And so you're right, with VAR you've got to be so careful. You can't have that margin for error, really.
Whether he gets a touch on it or not, I suppose you could also make the argument that he was obstructing Alex Paulson in goal as well. We've seen those across other leagues in the world as well, where a player is obstructing the goalkeeper's line of sight. So,
yeah, I think Paulson would have argued that till he was blue in the face if that was the case, but I think it was just a trailing toe, and so with VAR these days you do have to give yourself that extra inch so that it doesn't play into it, because we've seen here two big calls from VAR, and that might change the flow of the game.
Yeah, and the first big call from VAR, was this a 50-50 call? I'm not so sure. Wellington Phoenix fans would say that Bojidar Kraev has been impeded by Adama Traore of the Victory in attempting a shot on goal. What say you, world-class defender Anna?
Oh, as a defender, I'd be saying, play on. But that does look a bit tough from that angle. I think we're not getting the full picture in those angles, and that's unfortunate for the Phoenix, because any other day, right, it could go another way. But for me, I think that's probably fair, the way the decision stood, that you'd be feeling hard done by if you got a penalty against you like that. All
right, as we take a look at the first half statistics of this one, the top of the table clash between the Wellington Phoenix and the Melbourne Victory. The Victory shading possession, attempts on target falling to the Wellington Phoenix there, passes with the Victory. I suppose if you had to be take the eye patch off, rather, Anna Green, the Victory are shading this one, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll be coming into the half feeling like they've dominated, that they should be ahead. There's been a couple of chances, right? But the Phoenix have been living off scraps, and I think those stats show that they've not been able to control possession. They've found it really hard to switch the play, and they've been sitting so deep. All we can hear on the sideline is Italiano urging his side forward to start that higher line so that they can get pressure on and that they can start to build attacks.
One of the two changes that Giancarlo Italiano made to this Wellington Phoenix side was Lucas Kelly-Heald coming in for Sam Sutton at left back. He has the unenviable task of taking on Daniel Arzani. He has led him on a merry dance all around that sideline there. But he's also had help from other players in black, the likes of Ben Old, the likes of Alex Rufer, even David Ball has got back to try and help Lucas Kelly-Heald, Anna.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think they've got all of the manpower down that side, because Arzani has shown his talent this half. He's absolutely skinned players there and come out with the ball, but you've got three Phoenix players around you, so you might beat the first one, you might beat the second, but the third Phoenix player is going to get you there. But is that diminishing the Phoenix attack? I think it probably is.
Yeah, and how they don't score from that last play, I'll never ever know. All right, so just before we head into a break, what changes will Giancarlo Italiano likely make in the second half, and how do they get Costa Barbarouses more involved in this one?
Yeah, look, I think they're going to be a bit under the pump now that they're down to 10 men. I think you will look to bring another defender on. Is that Sam Sutton? I hope so, but you don't want to tinker too much with the back four, so hopefully it's just a Sam Sutton in, but then your attack does lose some of its potency.
The VAR has been busy. The Wellington Phoenix about to get busier. 10 men for 45 minutes against the Melbourne Victory. The winner of this game goes 3 points clear at the top of the A-League ladder. Don't go away. The second half coming up after this on Sky Sport.
We may not have had any goals in the first half, but plenty of talking points. There's one. Wellington appealing for a penalty, not given. And then a yellow card shown the way of Tim Payne on a check from the VAR, upgraded to a red.
Well, Melbourne Victory can consider themselves very unlucky not to go into the sheds 1-0 up. Nishan Velupale missed a chance and then had one ruled out because of a marginal offside call. But they were very, very fortunate not to have fallen behind early on. That, for me, is still a dead set penalty. Jason Pine, Adama Traore, poor positioning, panicked, and then pulled down Bojidar Kraev.
Just on the Velupile goal that was ruled out as well, it was because of Chris Economides in an offside position, but was he interfering with Alex Paulson, or did he actually get a touch? It probably doesn't matter because he's still offside.
Well, look, I think the VAR made the correct technical ruling. My issue is that the rule's wrong. If there is a part of the player that is onside, then they should be onside. When we have VAR, we should revert back to the daylight rule. And in doing so, I think Velupile's goal would have stood. But for Popovic's men, they have been unrelenting so far this season. They now need to truly exert pressure on this Wellington Phoenix side, who will look to be organised. And I think that they can do that through the likes of Jake Brimmer, who will now have a lot more space in the second half.
Here's Jake Brimmer back into the starting side, pulling the strings in Melbourne Victory's midfield. Had an opportunity from a free kick situation which he couldn't quite direct on target.
The other thing to note before the restart, Jason Pine, is that 3/4 of the Wellington Phoenix's 15 goals that they have conceded have been conceded 15 minutes after the start or restart. So this is a very dangerous period for the Wellington Phoenix based on their performances so far this season.
Daniel Elder signals time on in the second half. Melbourne Victory kick-off, kicking from left to right on your screen in the light shirts down towards the southern end of Sky Stadium. 10-man Wellington Phoenix now kicking back towards the northern end. That is right to left on your screen in the dark strips. Have a look at what they're doing, or what they've done formation-wise in terms of plugging the gap at right back. Jacob, what are you seeing?
Well, it looks like Nico Pennington is going to start there in the second half. Conversation at halftime amongst the Sky Sport team was that we could see Mohamed Altay, who has played at right back in the past for the likes of the Newcastle Jets. But Nico Pennington, the midfield utility, is going to be asked to fill a new role, right back.
He's in the action now and safely back to his goalkeeper. So now you probably put yourself inside the mind of Giancarlo Italiano and ask yourself, would I take a point down to 10 men against an unbeaten side with 45 minutes to play?
Well, the way in which the table is at the moment, the Wellington Phoenix have their noses in front of Melbourne Victory. I think to your point, Jason Pine, that's exactly where Italiano wants to stay. But they haven't lacked ambition this season, and in the second half, if they are to produce a threat, you can expect that to come from the likes of Costa Barbarouses and Ben Old, who have propelled the Phoenix forward in a very direct manner throughout the course of the season.
Here's Traore looking to set up an opportunity early in the second half for Victory. Only once in their 12 games so far this season have Victory failed to score. Goalless draw in the Melbourne derby against City just before Christmas. They'll back themselves to find a way. Daniel Arzani, no doubt, will be key to that as he comes together with Ben Old and wins the throw. Hasn't played 90 minutes in a game this season, Daniel Arzani, so I wonder whether Tony Popovic will tell him to go for it for 20-25 minutes or more, and then look to freshen things up off his bench. He's got Ben Falami there, of course, who's a pretty good impact player to have at your disposal.
We just see there Jake Brimmer, a player that's got into pockets just in front of this Wellington Phoenix midfield line, telling his teammates to calm down. Melbourne Victory obviously have a lot more time and space to utilise, and they need to get him on the ball because he's somebody that can pull the strings. They can't be frustrated. Those attacking threats that are now not going to have space in between the Wellington Phoenix lines need to get him on the ball and then be patient and wait for the pass to come.
Here is Brimmer on the ball, looking to pull those strings. Arzani. Another potential replacement for Melbourne Victory, of course, Eli Adams, who scored that eye-catching goal against Perth Glory in the 3-2 victory out west a couple of weeks ago. He'll be itching to get into the action as well, the youngster.
I've had some cracking goals this month and last, but for me, that was the pick. A beautiful strike. Almost took the roof off the net in Western Australia.
Now here's Arzani in a central position. You make room for a shot. Once Brimmer into the penalty area, Economides can't control. Ben Old will bring it away. David Ball's a lone ranger up top for the Phoenix. De Silva got a bit of a shove in the back. Referee's happy for play to go on. Mashash. 4 goals in 12 games for Zinedine Mashash this season. Outside of Bruno Fornaroli's 13, he is the top scorer for Victory. Another shot comes in straight at Alex Paulson. I think that was Roderick Miranda letting fly from distance.
Well, the centre-back had ventured forward, and it was Miranda. Not a bad little strike. Lots of topspin, but handled well by Paulson.
He actually scored on his A-League debut, Roderick Miranda, but just 1 goal in the 53 games since. Here's Arzani with some room to work in. Kelly Heald tries to hold his progress. And on that occasion, Lucas Kelly Heald gets the better of Daniel Arzani. Mashash and Old together. Mashash gets the better of Ben Old, the 2-8s. Brimmer. Traore. He lines it up through a bunch of players, wide of Alex Paulson's left-hand post.
Well, Daniel Arzani benefited from a stretching Bojidar Kraev. Move came to an end with Adama Traore looking to drive that one through and across Alex Paulson's goal. Became a wild strike in the end, not troubling the Wellington Phoenix custodian.
20th game against Wellington for Adama Traore across his long A-League men's career. 8 wins, 5 draws and 6 losses, so a bit of a mixed bag. Ben Old looks to set either Ball or Barbarouses away. That is going to go behind for a Wellington corner.
And the Phoenix have set up in a 4-1-3-1 formation with David Ball up the pointy end of the formation, and then Costa Barbarouses, Bojidar Kraev and Ben Old looking to profit from any second phase. And we saw at that time there, it was Ben Old trying to bend one in between the 2 centre-backs, and De Silva had to concede the corner.
Second of the evening for the home side. Nico Pennington has come all the way from right back to left wing to address this one towards the far post, back across the 6-yard area by Wooten, punched away by Izzo, and then Barbarouses on the volley.
It's the second time the Wellington Phoenix have exploited that back post. Finn Sermon in the first half, and then Scott Wooten there. Ball was though palming it away. Costa Barbarouses couldn't get his strike on goal.
There's Brimmer again, almost at walking pace as he looks to pull strings, as you call it, in Melbourne Victory's midfield, Jake. There's Valupale. Ramashan. Valupale again. Just probing. It's 2 banks of Phoenix defenders there. It's like 6 and a 4. Geria floats one in. Paulson saw it coming. And over the top of his own defender, Pennington. Oh, got a bit of friendly fire there, Alex Paulson, as he collected that one, landed on his right ankle.
Paulson taking his time to get to his feet. There's a decent ball in from Geria. You can see what he's trying to do, find Velupile on that back stick. Better patience that time from Melbourne Victory, but the circulation at the moment is too slow. They're not stretching the Wellington Phoenix, and then when the moment does come, they aren't hitting the accelerator.
No significant damage for Alex Paulson, thankfully. Very quiet in the crowd round Sky Stadium just at the moment, as the crowd are just curious to see what happens here. An undermanned home side. The Victory team very, very keen to take 3 points away and take ownership of that top spot, which they would do with a winner. So misplaced pass by Rufa, Velupile sticking out a left boot.
And Rufa that time, thumbs up, acknowledges the mistake. Facing his own goal. I think he's got to go back to Paulson there. Pressure's clearly on Finn Sermon.
Fourth season at Melbourne Victory for the 22-year-old Nishan Velupile. He and Ben Falami have traded places in terms of starting players and impact players this season. May well be that Falami takes his place at some point in the second half. We'll see. Rufa plays it through. David Ball's off after it. Paul Izzo with good penalty area management right up on the edge there. Izzo. Brimmer drills one out to Velupile. Faced by Pennington, who does a good job as right back, but Traore's there, and unfortunately for Nicholas Pennington, having done the first but very well, gives up a free kick in a fairly handy position for Victory.
Well, that's exactly what Melbourne Victory want to see from Jake Brimmer. Realised the moment, saw Velupile wide, allowed the winger to take on the Wellington Phoenix's temporary right back. First challenge was good, and then the second challenge brought Adama Traore to ground and results in this free kick. This is a dangerous angle, Jason. Right footer, Daniel Arzani can almost try and shoot and just hope for a slight deflection from either the Melbourne Victory or a Wellington Phoenix defender.
Yeah, drill it along the ground, you reckon. Instead, he does the other thing, and I wonder if he had his time again, whether he might elect for something slightly different. Daniel Arzani, he just seemed to get that one all wrong.
Well, he lined up for it like he was going to do what we're expecting and drill it across the face of Alex Paulson's goal, but then at the last seemed to pull out and try and revert back to a ball which was stood up just into the Wellington Phoenix's 6-yard and got it all sorts of wrong.
So he talked about the Phoenix's vulnerability in the first 15 minutes of each half, Jacob. To say 10 of the 15 goals they've conceded have come in the first quarter hour of either the first or second half. So we're approaching the hour mark. They'll avoid that ignominy again.
Yeah, given the dynamic of the game, we're expecting they'll be under more and more pressure as this game develops, but it is a curious pattern that has come about. The Wellington Phoenix slow starters in either half.
Victory come again. Is it going to fall their way? Not for this little passage of play, but Brimmer recycles and brings his central defenders in. Arzani with very much a free roll now for Melbourne Victory. Looks up again. This is a better delivery. Sermon's got to stoop to get it away. This is where the numerical disadvantage might hurt Wellington, although Costa Barbarouses just about frees up David Ball.
Well, he wriggled his way beyond two defenders, and if he'd got his head up, he would have seen Ben Old down this near side. Was in space as Jason Geary had to tuck in to provide the cover.
Brimmer. Rai Marchand. Traore. And another free kick coming the way of Melbourne Victory as they continue to build pressure. Might be a little bit far out, perhaps, for a attempted goal, although Jake Brimmer will fancy a look at it.
I do think Brimmer has only got one thing in his mind at the moment. He's having to win an argument with Daniel Arzani to take it, but I suspect he's going to want to wrap his foot around this one. And Arzani's looking to De Silva to try and arbitrate things here. He wants a crack as well. An enticing opportunity for the Victory set ball specialists.
Let's see. Here is Jake Brimmer. It's on target and pushed wide by Paulson. He's only been beaten from outside the penalty area once this season. That stunning strike from Alexander Sushna last weekend. And he didn't fancy making it two. Just creeping in perhaps from Jake Brimmer.
It was, but Paulson got a good side of that one. Confident left hand to see it beyond his upright.
More defending to do from Wellington though for this corner. Brimmer on the edge. Alex Rufer steps in and takes it away and gives his defence a bit of time to breathe. Barbarousis, once again, he's in heavy traffic. Through to Rufer, who can't quite control. De Silva is back. And Izzo completes the clearance. Only as far as Barbarousis, and he can't control. Now, Wellington have got a few forward here, so Victory might sense a chance. It's 4-on-5 at the moment. Wellington now getting back in numbers. Mashash, haven't seen a lot of him in the second half so far. Economides. Adama Traore. Brimmer with a little 1-2. Clever feet. Economides waiting out there for a pass. Doesn't get it. Velupale. It's like one of those training games when attack takes on defence and you've got to try and find a way through. Economides lifts it in. And it's a fascinating little conundrum for Melbourne Victory to try to solve.
Well, the circulation is rather pedestrian at the moment. Melbourne Victory are unable to land a jab on the Wellington Phoenix outside of those set pieces that we've seen. But it is one of the strengths of Wellington. The poise and confidence of Scott Wootton and Finn Sermon, the way in which they marshal the defence and then see off crosses. It really is credit to Adam Griffiths, the Wellington Phoenix's assistant coach.
Here's Velupale. He can't get the ball out from under his feet. Still there, though, for Melbourne Victory. Ramashan. Brimmer. Back to Brimmer from Traore. 5 clean sheets so far this season for Wellington. 4 for Melbourne Victory. Ramashan. Clever pass to Velupale. And Nicholas Pennington believes it took a nick off Velupale. Referee doesn't agree. Corner given. Look at those final third entries in the second half alone.
Well, the Wellington Phoenix are definitely making that 18-yarder castle. And that is a goal kick. Daniel Elder hasn't been a favourite with the Wellington Phoenix defenders at the start of the second half. I do think they were hard done by there.
There are more complaints coming the way of Daniel Elder. Costa Barbarousis thought he'd earned his side a goal kick there. Instead, it'll be another corner for Arzani to address. Plenty of elevation on that and too much on it. We're hearing there's a triple change coming for Melbourne Victory as Tony Popovic looks to inject some freshness.
Well, it looks like Eli Adams, Ben Falami and Connor Chapman are all coming on. Popovic has clearly seen enough. As we said, they've got the time and the space, and there's the opportunity to create ascendancy here, but the way the game is being played at the moment, it's very narrow, and the circulation has meant that attacks have become stagnant. Best way to correct that is inject some freshness, inject some energy. 3 changes in 1 by Tony Popovic. Ryan Teague, sorry, not Eli Adams.
So in a green sideline, Tony Popovic rolling the dice. Greenie, he wants fresh legs in there to try and break down Wellington's defence.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see some frustration coming from the Victory coaching staff throughout this half. I think he's seen what he wanted to for 15 minutes, and then you're right, it's rolled the dice. He's made 3 changes. The clear message there was to keep playing as we are, but raise the tempo. You could see him giving that to substitutions before they came on.
So Teague, Chapman and Falami in for Traore, Raimarchand and Economides, just confirming. Azani, little ball into Chapman. Teague with his first involvement, wins the header, but it falls the way of Kraev. He's bundled over, but Feely says referee Elder.
Well, the fans are trying to intervene here. They want to get involved in this one as well. Not only are they going to will their team on to repel Melbourne Victory, but they want to try and create a bit of pressure on the referee as well.
Here's Azani tracking across the face of the penalty area. You can see Jason Geary has gone out to left back. He's played out there on more than one occasion this season. Chapman will drop into right back. As here comes Azani charging through the middle, couldn't quite collect. Wellington just defending with everything they've got at the moment. Costa Barbarouses is back.
Well, the Victory are queuing up in that central position. Teague, Brimmer, Velupillay keeps dropping off the line. With the Phoenix stubbornly standing their ground.
Great to see Ryan Teague out there. Limped off last weekend, had some ice on the left knee, but clearly okay to take part tonight. He's going to try and get on the end of this. Here he is, and it's a save by Paulson. In fact, Mashash with the shot. Alex Paulson saving with the feet as Victory continue to knock on the door.
Well, when you're down to 10 men, you can be stubborn, but you will concede chances. And when they come, you need your goalkeeper to be big. And Paulson was big there. Great barrier at that near post. And of course it was Marchash. Bustled his way through the Wellington Phoenix defensive line, only to come up against the young, commanding Alex Paulson.
Now referee Daniel Elder is going to have a word with the 14 or so players in the 6-yard area. Just about everybody forward for Melbourne Victory, everybody back for Wellington, and that's sailed over the bar with the head of David Ball. So it'll be another corner. All hands on deck for the home side.
It's a lovely ball in from Jake Brimmer. Targeting that near post. Not so much that this time. The yellow fever at the backs of Wellington Phoenix. They'll cheer on every little victory, every little piece of resilience from the boys in black today.
Here is Teague. Scored against the Phoenix in round 4, Ryan Teague. So far his only A-League men's goal. Here's Geria. Good ball towards the far post. And Lucas Kelly-Heald could probably hear or feel Connor Chapman behind him. Safety first for Lucas Kelly-Heald, but another corner for Melbourne Victory.
It looks like Sam Sutton is warming up. But we are being told it won't be for Lucas Kelly-Heald, it'll be for David Ball.
Another corner for Victory. Up and away by Wooten. The game being played almost exclusively at the southern end. Here is Velupillay. Lifts it over towards the far post where Mashash was. Chapman can't quite keep it in. Pressure valve released ever so slightly for Wellington as we go past the midway point of the second half. And here is Sam Sutton. It'll be David Ball who makes way. I'm not quite sure what that'll mean in terms of formation. I don't think David Ball knows he's been the one replaced. Second half possession 84% in favour of Melbourne victory.
That's remarkable. It looks like Sam Sutton is trotting across to the right-hand side here. Was a converted midfielder. Might be able to display some utility by being more advanced than we typically see him. Of course, he's played left back throughout the course of this season and last.
Here's Teague. Velupale. Brimmer couldn't quite control it. Jake Brimmer. Cryer brings it away, but is set upon by a couple of players. One of whom was Brimmer. That's gone over the sideline for a Phoenix throw. Wellington being asked by Giancarlo Italiano to dig deep.
We talked about the sloppiness of some of the Wellington Phoenix's touches in the first half and how they then self-inflicted, creating chances for Melbourne victory to pounce on. What we're seeing here is that same sloppiness start to creep into Melbourne victory's play. It's meaning that they can't assert themselves as much as they want. They give up the ball to the Phoenix, and as you said, Jason, that just allows the pressure valve to release.
If you're just tuning in, Wellington are down to 10. Tim Payne sent off just before half-time. On that man, Mashashu, thankfully, isn't suffering any effects of it. Little 1-2 between Velupale and, or rather, Falami and Brimmer.
Just coming back to that Sam Sutton introduction. He is on the right-hand side of the Wellington Phoenix midfield. David Ball, as we've come to expect, industrious, puts in the work. I think what Italiano wants is the ability to not only defend with energy, but also to spring forward. And what he's got now is a front line in possession, if we can call it that, Jason, of Sutton, Barbarousis and Old orbiting around a central figure of Kraev. And if they can release, they will do so with pace through those players.
What about the front three for victory now? Velupale, Falami and Arzani. Not sure where you're supposed to look as a defender. Mashash in that mix as well.
There's not one thing, it's another. And that's the question that the Wellington Phoenix will be asked of them. Can they repel Melbourne victory, but can they repel each of the different ways in which they can attack? Marchash, such a physical threat. Azani, Magic, Brimmer, with that range of passing.
Teague as well, one of the rising stars of Australian football, back in the country, having spent the last 3 years in Portugal. Is Geria. Azani. De Silva's up in midfield, the centre-back. Wellington defending deeper and deeper. Azani in towards the penalty area, away by Sermon. Sutton doesn't just want to welly it upfield, so sets off into a bit of a cul-de-sac and does pretty well, Sam Sutton, to get out of it. Now what? And that'll be a free kick the way of Melbourne victory. And Mashash again on the receiving end. He's been in the wars. Quickly taken, Geria, away by Sermon. He leads the Phoenix in clearances, Finn Sermon.
A smart piece of play from Velupale to release Adama Traore. Don't want the Phoenix to set, don't want them to get into their position. See if you can disrupt them, catch them off guard.
Frustration will continue to grow for Melbourne victory the longer they bang on this door without being able to bust it off the hinges.
And we're looking at another change here. Tony Popovic providing instructions.
Jordi Belladon, the 20-year-old, and what will be just his fourth A-League men's appearance, is about to be introduced. So another attacking threat for Wellington to deal with. A rare chance for them to attack themselves as Ben Old sets off after Damien De Silva, who wins the race.
And that's where the Wellington Phoenix can be dangerous. We've seen them wriggle their way into a yard or two of space, particularly down the right-hand side. But they keep going narrow, they keep looking for the number 9, when in actual fact, the Victory are very narrow as they look to invert their fullbacks and create that additional defensive midfielder, but it does mean there is space wide.
So Wellington on for Brimmer, whose night is done. He's returning from injury, of course. He's been influential tonight, Jake Brimmer, but hasn't been able to be the architect of a victory goal. Geordie Wellington takes over that responsibility.
Popovic's patience has clearly been tested by the way in which his team are playing the second half. As Anna Green so expertly and concisely described his instructions to that 3-man substitution, we want more tempo. And he seems to think he's still not getting that.
Here's Azani, always provides tempo. Had that gone behind? It had, so it'll be a goal kick off the carpet. Daniel Azani is trying everything in his box of tricks to try and unlock a stout Wellington Phoenix defence, for now anyway.
I'll tell you what, a constant of tonight is Daniel Azani. Up against the first defender, always gets around him, passes in the opposition half by the Melbourne Victory. Almost a double century.
Now, Alex Paulson's got a bit of a habit of doing this, trying to surreptitiously waste a bit of time. He got a yellow card for it the other week. He's been told in no uncertain terms by Daniel Elder that he needs to hurry up. And a green sideline with 15 minutes to go. Which way is it going, Greenie?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a balancing act at the minute. You'd think that your money would be on Melbourne Victory, but they haven't been able to break down the Phoenix 10-man team. But what has been really great down here is that you can hear the crowd getting behind the Phoenix and really rallying them on to try and help them be a bit resolute in this tough battle that they're facing at the minute.
One thing that I'd love to get your input on, Anna, is the performance of Sermon and Wooten at the moment. We haven't commented about them a lot, but they are at the centre of everything that the Wellington Phoenix are doing to repel Melbourne Victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they've been unbelievable tonight, and what you can see pitch side is the work ethic of all of the Phoenix players. I mean, particularly Old at the minute. He's there, he's back all the time, helping out defensively, so it's a real team effort, and everyone's definitely putting in a shift.
Azani tries to make passage into the penalty area, can't. Geria gives it away to Barbarouses, but once again it's going to come straight back in the person of Miranda. Ben Falami, he's got fresh legs off the knee of Finn Sermon and behind for another corner. It's rare for Wellington to be defending this end in the second half. Typically they attack the yellow fever end, the southern end of Sky Stadium in the second half of matches here, but it might be actually working out okay for them as they look to protect their goal with their most fervent fans behind them. 12 corners tonight for Melbourne Victory. Azani takes the latest of them. Here is Valupale, and they'll have another corner, this time on their right wing side off the body of Lucas Kelly-Heald.
Well, the Yellow Fever are cheering on all of the micro victories for the Wellington Phoenix, trying to offset the loss of Tim Payne by becoming the 11th man.
So corner 13. Wellington takes. Once again, the Phoenix are stout in defence.
Finn Sermon has quietly gone about his business tonight, but he has been very influential. Again, he's the man to get his head to the ball.
Correction, corner taker there, of course, Ryan Teague. Who's on the ball now, Teague. Touch this lets him down ever so slightly, but it might turn out okay for Victory. Phoenix just straight into clear. Mashash. Falami. Is this the opportunity for Melbourne Victory behind again? And Scott Wooten, they celebrate as though he scored a goal, the central defender.
Well, first Sermon, and then Wooten. That time the Melbourne Victory prized open the Wellington Phoenix defence. Ben Falami looking to return the pass. Sorry, Valupale looking to find Falami on the cutback. But a big left foot from Scott Wootton.
Yet another corner. What about this one? Here is Valupale, and it's rebounded in. Connor Chapman got the final touch. And off the bench, Connor Chapman with his third A-League men's goal, and this is 110th appearance, has put Melbourne Victory into a 79th minute lead.
Well, finally, Melbourne Victory have overwhelmed this Wellington Phoenix. Defensive effort, slightly fortuitous there. The ball falls to Valupale at the back post, trying to drive it across goal. I think it was more of a shot that then skews into Chapman. But Popovic and his men won't care. 1-0 up, away from home, top of the table clash, and they now have the advantage.
Well, Valupale just rolls the dice there. Was he shooting? Or was he just drilling it into a crowded penalty area? It was a good tactic, rebounding off Chapman. And perhaps an unlikely goal scorer for Melbourne Victory, given the attacking artillery at their disposal. But Connor Chapman is the man who has what is at this stage the game's decisive goal. I guess the problem for Wellington now is that, having spent the best part of 35 minutes in the second half just with their backs against the wall defending, they have to now try and get down the other end and find themselves an equaliser. The numerical advantage obviously will help Melbourne Victory as they look to hold on to this 1-0 lead.
More adventurous from the Phoenix here, looking to press.
Mazzani's got some cramp, which was what he was afflicted by last weekend. He stayed on the pitch and play will go on, so at the moment it's 10 v 10. Benold trying to get away from Jordi Valadon, who sets off in hot pursuit. Now they're going to stop proceedings as Daniel Arzani gets more treatment. He's rolled off the field now, so we can carry on 10 v 10.
And Alex Rufer asking the question here, how Daniel Arzani is able to get treatment on the field while play's still going on. Fair question. Right in front of the fourth official, Daniel Arzani down with cramp on the touchline, trying to make his way off the field. Probably also trying to waste time now with the advantage that Melbourne Victory do have. And Alex Rufer telling Daniel Alder all about it.
Eli Adams is set to replace Daniel Arzani. So again, he doesn't get through the 90 minutes, but the 81 he has got through have been very, very impressive from Daniel Arzani. The young up-and-comer Eli Adams makes his way to the sideline. And changes coming the way of Wellington as well.
Ute and Van Haddam are about to make their way onto the field with Eli Adams.
So Adams on for Arzani for Melbourne Victory. Ute for Pennington for Wellington. And Oscar Van Haddam into the action in place of Lucas Kelly-Heald.
So a bit of a rotation here now. Oscar Van Haddam will head out right. Up alongside Benold and Costa Barbarousa. Sam Sutton will revert to his normal left-back role in Italiano's 11 or 10 tonight. And then Ute will sit in at right back. Eli Adams takes his place up the top of the field.
Connor Chapman through the back of Benold. So you can see the rejigged formation there now with Wharton and Sermon, the deepest of Wellington's players. Ute up and down the right. getting his first opportunity to get involved now.
On the balance of things, Jason, victory definitely worth their 1-0 lead. Compounded by the circumstances when they've been up against 10 men. I think the frustration from Popovic's point of view is that it's taken them so long to get the advantage.
Here's Ben Old now, first time cross into the area, not cleared. Man goes down, Daniel Elder not interested. Costa Barbarouses and Damien De Silva have a little off-the-ball chat. Victory looking for what would be a decisive second. Wooden's there ahead of Velupale. Slightly heavy touch from Paulson, but looks like it'll work out okay for them.
The Wellington Phoenix now have confidence to play out from the back. They were going long. Paulson being very direct. They've reverted back to their normal pattern of play, and what they're trying to do is entice Melbourne Victory on to then go beyond, be direct. It's worked very well for them with 11. Costa Barbarouses drifting in between lines. Quiet assassin who pierces opponents. The question will be, can they do it with 10 here tonight?
A win for Victory would be their 7th of the season, take them to 27 points, 3 clear of the Phoenix and 6 ahead of Western Sydney, who are currently 3rd. Barbarouses trying to sneak in behind De Silva.
The feet in amongst all that, Jason, is now, well, it is now 12 games. This will make it 13 if they keep their lead, and they are still undefeated.
Yep, getting closer to that club record of 16 matches without defeat. Would be hard to see them losing from here, so you'd have to think the unbeaten record will continue. They'll want all 3, though. They conceded a late equaliser a week ago against the Mariners. Tony Popovic will not be at home to something similar tonight. Ben Old gets away from Chapman, who uses an arm to try and hold his progress. Good from Old, and behind for a Wellington corner. You get the feeling that Ben Old might be the man with something in his locker for Wellington.
Well, if someone is going to punish complacency, it is likely to be either the number 8 or the number 7 for the Wellington Phoenix. Both Ben Old and Costa Barbarouses have been in fantastic form. Can they make something happen for Italiano?
Headed away, Scott Wooten with the volley. What a defensive block by Jason Geria. They're appealing for handball. I think he's got all body on this, and what a courageous block from Jason Geria. That looked to be on target from Scott Wooden.
Well, Paul Izzo came for that, didn't get it away cleanly enough, and had to rely on Jason Geria. As you say, Tiny, legitimate or otherwise, it still was a courageous block, exactly what you want when you're 1-0 up.
Here's Ben Falami, driving deep into enemy territory. Can't quite control it, but does retain possession. The shot, and Alex Paulson pours it wide. Jordi Valadon looking for a very first A-League men's goal.
And here we see it again. The ball stood up into a crowded 6-yard box. Izzo gets something on it, not quite enough. Falls to Scott Wooden, left-footed shot, and Jason Geria gets close enough and comes off his back in the end, throwing himself for that one.
Wholehearted defending. Here's Eli Adams for Victory, looking to put the cherry on top, but instead just drifts it onto the top of the net. So the Phoenix would stay second for the meantime if the score stays the way it does, but Western Sydney would have the chance to go past them if they were to beat Perth Glory at CommBank Stadium tomorrow. That would take them to 24 points, the same as the Phoenix, the same number of wins, but Western Sydney would have a better goal difference. Here's Rufer. Van Haddam. He's won another corner for Wellington. Again, Geria is the important defender.
Well, Wellington Phoenix going to ask the question how long Melbourne Victory's memories are. Can they repeat the chance It was repelled by Geria.
Van Hadden with the corner towards the far post. Wharton can't direct it on target and looks skyward here. Crowd number through, 9,139 here tonight to support Wellington. It's their biggest home crowd of the season.
Connor Chapman in all sorts of trouble at the back post. Scott Wooden got up, couldn't get his header on target though. Victory given another opportunity to try and manage this one through to 90 minutes.
Luke Supik into the action for Bojidar for the final 90 seconds plus stoppages. We're told there's going to be a minimum of 5 extra minutes at the end, so still time for Wellington to find an equaliser. Wharton drifts one forward. Good defending at the back from De Silva. He and Miranda have been quietly excellent for Melbourne victory tonight. They've had a bit of an armchair ride in the second half with Wellington down to 10, but have done everything required.
We've come to expect free-flowing football from both of these teams. We have seen some magic from Azani. The Phoenix have been limited somewhat, but I think equally the defensive resilience has been on display.
Here's Van Hadden with the shot! Oscar Van Hadden does not have an A-League men's goal to his name. That is about as close as he's come.
Oh, energy and pace is what takes him beyond Geria onto his left foot. And unfortunately, beyond Izzo's right-hand post. Van Hadden knows that was his chance to steal something for Italiano's men.
He's provided good impact off the bench in recent times, Oscar Van Hadden. He would love to have broken that A-League men's scoring duck of his. Instead, it's Victory who break forward. Is this the decisive moment for Velupale? Not the contact he was after. Confirmation of the extra 5 minutes minimum at the end of this one. Next up for Victory is the Big Blue. They'll face Sydney FC a week tonight. Van Hadden goes down in the area. Nothing wrong with that from Jason Geria. Wellington Phoenix's next assignment, they'll visit McDonald Jones Stadium the next Saturday night to play Newcastle.
Look, I'm not sure there's enough for a penalty, but it was very clumsy defending from Geria there, and he definitely, at least from the first look of things, didn't get anything on the ball.
Mashash looking to apply an exclamation point. Rebounds out towards Adams. Sutton gets there ahead of him. Urged forward by the crowd here. Fouled as he tried to do so. Referee says play on, you've got the ball. Barbarousis. Sutton out to Van Hadden, that's going to drift agonisingly over his head.
And the arm's gone up from Daniel Elder. This is the first stoppage after the tackle by Jason Geria. Lovely ball from Bernard out wide. And here we go, the long walk to halfway. Daniel Elder has a big decision to make here. I think anywhere else on the football field, Jason, that is a free kick. Geria clumsily clatters into Van Hadden. There is nothing of consequence that's going to happen. And that'll be the reason why Melbourne Victory are so aggrieved here. Is it the contact or is it handball that they're looking at? We'll be able to see from this one. There is no contact on the ball from Jason Geria. I would suggest that Van Hadden is not going to get the ball back, nor is he likely to keep his feet. But it's a big decision. I do not envy Daniel Elder. Well, it's clumsy, if nothing else, from Jason Geria, but is it enough
for Daniel Elder to point to the penalty spot. We're about to find out.
Here we go.
The Phoenix have a penalty. We talked about Oscar Van Hattem's impact, and it has come to play again. We don't even know who takes Wellington's penalties. They haven't had one this season yet. Money's on Costa.
Looks like Alex Rufer wants the ball. Or is he simply protecting Costa Barbarouses, the man who in his last 5 games has played every single minute, scored 8 goals, 2 assists, has been the most regular avenue to goal for the Wellington Phoenix. Can he cement his status here in front of the Yellow Fever as the hometown hero that the fans want?
Can I just say, I think it's a harsh call. I think Jason Geary, as I say, has been clumsy, but the decision has been made.
In the first half, the Wellington Phoenix didn't benefit from a 50-50 decision. They have here, and it sets up Alex Rufer, the man with the armband.
The captain has taken responsibility. First penalty of this season for Wellington Phoenix. A goal scorer last weekend, Alex Rufer, to help his side to a 4-3 win over Perth Glory. This one to secure an unlikely point at the end of a dramatic contest. It is Rufer against Izzo. Out of the fire for Wellington. Alex Rufer, calm from the spot. The Phoenix are level, and it is scarcely believable here in Wellington. But Victory have conceded late again, and the points look like they'll be shared.
At the death, Alex Rufer ignites the Phoenix and brings Sky Stadium to its feet.
Well, it is a grandstand finish under the Friday night lights. He never looked like missing, Alex Rufer. A 4th A-League men's goal, 2 of those from the penalty spot. Paul Izzo had a guess. That was incorrect. And in the stands, the air is punched, and Alex Rufer says, don't worry about it. I've got this.
Well, ambition and resolve have defined Giancarlo Italiano's team, led by Alex Rufer. Have they stolen a point against the odds against Melbourne Victory, as they did all the way back in 2007, Jason Pine?
Well, we're going to have a couple more minutes, surely, because the VAR check itself took a couple. We're already into the 7th minute of added time. And Melbourne Victory, who thought after banging and banging and banging on the 10-man door of Wellington, thought they'd busted it down through Connor Chapman, and had all but, until a clumsy piece of defending from Jason Geary was punished by Daniel Elder and VAR Chris Griffiths-Jones. And now it looks as though, even though Victory will retain their unbeaten record, they're going to take just the 1 point away and not all 3. This result would leave Wellington at the top of the table. The Phoenix and Melbourne Victory would stay together on 25 points. The Phoenix would be ahead by virtue of 7 wins to Victory's 6. It seems so unlikely. And yet here we are. That's the live ladder. 7 wins for Phoenix, 6 for Victory, equal on points. It's the win column, that's the 1.
Well, it wasn't quite the arm wrestle, the tactical arm wrestle we were expecting, but the Phoenix made Victory work for their lead. And then, as we experienced against Western Sydney Wanderers with the Wellington Phoenix, there were fireworks late on. 3 goals now the Wellington Phoenix have scored against 2nd and 3rd, deep into stoppage time.
Victory have again conceded late. The Mariners stole a point last week. And it is Friday night drama in New Zealand's capital. 10-man Wellington Phoenix have scored late from the penalty spot through their captain, a delighted Alex Rufer, cancelling out Connor Chapman's go-ahead goal for Melbourne Victory. Victory's unbeaten season continues. Wellington's topsy-turvy ride in the 2023-24 Isuzu Ute A-League men's competition also carries on, with all those fans and more on the bandwagon with them. Plenty of discussion pitch side. Shirts off. Chants happening. An embrace between two combatants, Mashash and Rufer. They've gone at one another for 98 minutes, but an embrace afterwards. And Victory fans in tears at the northern end. They all but had it taken away from them by a penalty converted by Alex Rufer. Let's get you down onto the grass. Goran Paladin is alongside Alex Rufer.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Jason Pine. Roofs, come on, mate. Put us in the moment that the penalty is awarded, and the discussions between yourself and Costa Barbarouses around who's going to take the shot, and up steps the captain. Talk us through it.
Yeah, look, I was confident. I know Costa was as well, but, you know, that was the moment I wanted to take, and just thankful I scored.
You're becoming something of a goal-scoring freak, Alex Rufer. How does that sit with you?
Yeah, look, I've always said it. I just try to go out there and do my job. You know, whether it's me or whoever else that scores, it doesn't matter as long as you get a result, and tonight we did.
Well, before that penalty, it was one hell of a grind in the second 45 with Tim Payne sending off just before half-time. How satisfied, how proud are you of your squad with the rejig and how they managed to repel the Melbourne Victory?
Yeah, really proud. We knew going into half-time it was going to be a battle. We conceded a poor goal, but that happens. They had us under pressure, you know, but we seemed to manage it quite well. And we knew we'd get a chance, and that was the chance, and we took it. So really, really happy, and we'll take the point.
Let's talk about a couple of individuals in that backline in particular. Nicholas Pennington, who was a massive part of the rejig out on the right-hand side, and Lucas Kelly-Heald, who did a really good job against a difficult Daniel Arzani.
Yeah, look, it was a tough night, but everyone stood up tonight. Everyone worked really hard, and we got the point in the end. As I said, it was very difficult that we had the sending off, but look, sometimes it happens in football, and we adjusted, and we got the result.
And up next, it's Newcastle Jets away. Last time you played the Jets, kind of pulled your pants down here at Sky Stadium. What's the talk like through the week about revenge, retribution and all that?
Look, we've got to dissect this game first, and then we'll start to look at them. But look, we're confident, and we'll go at them.
And a word on the support. More than 9,000 people have come in for the first home game of 2024. How good were they in driving you to the finish line tonight?
Look, our fans are amazing. They're the best in the league, and we hope to have many more nights like this. They really got us over the line tonight, so thank you very much.
Good on you, Roos, and thank you for securing that 1 point.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And we're bringing Roderick Miranda, skipper of the Melbourne Victory. Roderick, that must feel like a couple of points dropped. Put us in your mindset right now after dominating the Wellington Phoenix on their home turf for the vast majority of this game.
Well, it's football. It's not fair. It's not a fair result, but after a tough decision that I think not everybody will agree with, but it's football. I think the players make mistakes. I think everybody's allowed to make a mistake as well. Yeah, we just move on. We're still undefeated. We put a good performance, but I think with 11 men and winning by 1-0, I think we need to control better the game with the ball. But congratulations to Wellington. They fight until the end, so I think it was a good game for everybody, entertainment, so yeah.
What made the Wellington Phoenix so difficult to break down in that second 45?
Well, when you see the game, they have 10 men in this case on the box, and it's difficult. Every time you try to shoot, you find the body there. But yeah, we scored, but after, like I said, I think we need to manage better the game with the ball. But yeah, we move on. Tough one to take, but we move on.
while you'll be disappointed with this result, you are still undefeated in 13 A-League games this season. What makes the Melbourne Victory so difficult to beat? Almost impossible to beat.
I don't know, everybody fights for each other. We can see Jason, the block he made, he put his body on the line for the team. So I think it's the feeling on the team. Everybody fight for each other, everybody will die for each other. And we are trying to show this on the pitch every game. We were unlucky tonight, but we keep moving and keep growing to the next game.
Tough luck on the result tonight, but congratulations on your unbeaten run to date. Roderick Miranda, thanks for your time.
Thank you much. Good night.
And stick with us here on Sky Sport. The top of the table clash, it has not disappointed. We'll dissect everything after the break. We'll hear from Connor Chapman, Nishan Velupillay from the Melbourne Victory side of things, but we'll also hear from Costa Barbarouses and Scotty Wootton, who was stoic in defence in black for the Phoenix tonight. 1-1 it ends. We'll wrap it all up after this on Sky Sport. Welcome back into Sky Stadium, where we have witnessed one hell of a top of the table clash in the A-League men's competition. In the dying stages of this one, the concession of a penalty from the Melbourne Victory, and up steps none other than that man right there. Happy with his selfie, happy with his penalty-taking ability, goal-scoring freak, the phenom himself, Alex Rufer, secures a point for the home side against Melbourne Victory. Watching on have been Anna Green, Jacob the Spoon Spoonley, and the Walrus, the Tower of Power, Scotty Wootton. Mate, that must feel like 3 points after copping an absolute barrage for most of that second half, having been gone to or reduced to 10 men with the sending off of Tim Payne just before half-time.
Yeah, it's a huge point. Like you say, we hardly had a kick really second half. Even first half, I thought it was probably the worst we've played in a long time really in our build-up, and with our possession we were a bit sloppy, but to come away with a point, I think it shows that we've got something special within the group in terms of character, ability to dig in, ability to stay in games is such an underrated attribute in football or sport, and we've got that in abundance. We've shown that plenty of times this season. To still get results when you're not playing well is a huge thing, and you know, we're obviously delighted with a point. Like you say, it probably does feel a bit like a win when you're down to 10 men for so long, but yeah, delighted.
When you see Costa Barbarouses and Alex Rufer having a discussion about who's going to take the penalty, who was your money on? Probably Costa Barbarouses, having scored 8 and 5?
Yeah, I was quite surprised really. I thought obviously Costa's confidence is sky high. You know, you can see even on tonight, so dangerous on the break. But yeah, I was quite surprised that Roos, I know Roos scored one at Adelaide last season, didn't he? So obviously Roos fancies himself from the penalty spot, so fair play, and it was a great penalty. He waited for the keeper to dive and he took it away nicely, and we'll take a point.
Did you fancy yourself from 12 yards right at the death?
Not so sure about that, mate. I'm not sure. Nah, I wouldn't have stepped up there when there's players like that on the pitch.
Just talk to us about what it means, because you had the crowd at your backs. They were trying to offset the loss of Tim Payne, and then to be rewarded by Alex Rufer converting from that penalty spot, and then his Paul Eiffel-esque celebration. What are the emotions in that final moment?
Like you said, it feels like a win, really. You know, such a relief. You'd never want to lose games. You know, it's always one where if you do lose that, everyone can say, oh, we're down to 10 men for so long. Against arguably one of the best teams in the league. They're unbeaten, so they're a top team. Taking nothing away from them, thought they played very well, but it's sort of like, oh, it's okay, it's accepted. But the fact that we come away undefeated from that night is great. You know, obviously unlucky for Payne, disappointed for him. But yeah, like I said before, the character, the team spirit, the ability to dig in is second to none.
And you've mentioned Tim Payne getting sent off there. What was the messaging from at half-time from your gaffer?
I think he just said we've got to obviously stay in the game. We know that we're not going to have much possession. We didn't really in the first half anyway, so with a less man. We knew that, but we knew we'd get obviously opportunities. We probably didn't get too many. And just like I said, to dig in, stay in the game. It's not easy to play against 10 men. You see that in games all over the world, you know. So we knew if we had to defend well, we had to run, we had to work even harder. And they were his messages.
Just before we let you go, Scotty Wootton, the 3 youngsters around you in that second 45, Pennington, who played his part in the rejig, Finn Sermon, the man alongside you, and also Lucas Kelly-Heald. Can you speak to their efforts today and how important they were in the cause?
Absolutely brilliant. I said it, I think the last time I came on here, you asked me about Lucas and Finn, and they're doing so well for so young, especially Lucas.